Welcome to the Capital Gains Tax Solutions podcast, where we believe most high net worth individuals and those who help them struggle with clarifying their capital gains tax deferral options. Not having a clear plan is the enemy, and using a proven tax deferral strategy, such as the Deferred Sales Trust, is the best way for you to exit your business or real estate. I'm your host, Brett Swartz, and each episode I am joined by some of the best real estate, financial, wealth, and business minds in the world, where they share their ideas, deal stories, and inspiration. So together we can make complex tax deferral strategies simple and passive income plans achievable. Hey, I'm excited about our next guest. He is what I call a Hall of Famer when it comes to all things business sales and all things franchising. In fact, he started Sater Real Solutions franchise to provide free franchise consulting services to assist individuals in making the best decision when buying a franchise, a business, or business opportunity. SRS represents more than 500 of today's leading franchise opportunities and are well known in the industry for their professional approach by their franchise partners. Please welcome to the show with me the founder of Sater Real Solutions franchise, Ricardo Matos. Hey, Ricardo, how you doing?
I'm doing great, Brett. How are you doing?
Hey, better than I deserve. Glad to have you on the show. And on this short episode, we're going to focus on just the one big question. We'll get to that in a minute as it comes to frustrations with capital gains tax when selling a business. And I know you have a story for us for that one. But would you give our listeners maybe just a 60-second version of your story and your current focus?
Well, I come from the background of business development from the past 25 years. I've been helping businesses to grow, to expand their general idea of business and entities, of who they are and what they are all about. And decide to, instead of doing it for other people, decide to do it for myself too. And it was time for me to jump in the bandwagon and help other people to find the ways and means of how to own a business, how to control their life, and how to make their business prosper in many different ways.
Amazing. And we're going to dive into your full story, which is an amazing background I was reading about out of Puerto Rico and at a young age, becoming an entrepreneur, starting at age 12, and then going through all of your successes along the way. So we'll dive into the full interview. But for this interview, we're focusing on just one big question, and it's for our audience who are looking for ways to exit businesses or real estate. And this is the question: what's the biggest frustration you or a client has faced when it comes to selling a business and deferring capital gains tax?
Well, a lot of times a lot of business, they have a lot of partnerships involved into it, and one or two partners want to break away from that entity of business. Not saying there's anything wrong with the entity of the business, that usually happens too. But one of the biggest problems that I come across is when a person owns a business or they're in a partnership or agreement into another business, they want to cash out or sell their entities or their shares of their entity to the other partners within that business. But they comes in one dilemma is that once they cash out and once that entity or the partnership has been dissolved or distributed across to the other partners or sold to another individual to integrate within the partnership, a lot of times the funding that comes from those exchange require a very huge capital gain to the person that is separating away from. And a lot of times they come into the question, Ricardo, what do I do? Who do I contact? How do I need to go about doing we're not paying taxes? And how do I become self-aware of that what I'm going to do is going to be the right decision for me and for my family members?
Yeah, very well said. And that is a common thing that we also find as well, which is just clarifying their options and figuring out how to, I call it a seamless partnership separation when you're dealing with high stakes, right? Everyone's poured their blood, sweat, and tears into the business, and it's highly appreciated. And now you're going to make a big exit. And how do you separate? Or sometimes it's just the one partner that wants to get out, Ricardo, right? And the other three, let's say there's four partners, and one wants to get out, and one's ready for the next chapter of their life, and the other three are ready to keep going. And the other three are going to buy that person out, right? And they're facing with a huge capital gains tax. In fact, we just closed a deal in Alabama like that. There was three partners, and our client was the third who wanted to take on the next phase of multifamily development, but had a big tax on the sale of the business. So they bought him out, but he used the Deferred Sales Trust to defer that tax and start the next chapter. So we'll dive into more of that on the full episode. But if anyone's interested in learning more about Ricardo, you can go to srsfranchise.com. And if you're interested in learning more about different options, such as the Deferred Sales Trust or deferred taxes on the sale of the business, you can go to capitalgainstaxsolutions.com. Ricardo, any last thoughts or words and reminders where people can find you, and also just remind them of your ideal customer or client that you're helping out.
Well, yes, we can be found at stateofrealsolution.com at any time. We are also on LinkedIn. We are on Facebook and all the different social media platforms, YouTube. You can also look at our podcast on State of Real Solution, the inside story of franchise on YouTube, and many of the other podcast platforms that we currently exist in.
Perfect. Thanks, everyone, for listening to this short teaser episode, and look for the full episode of Ricardo Matos to drop here soon.